pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Going, everybody, meaning Mr. Nevermind, who is here right now with us, and the other viewer is Julie. That was the new intro. How do you guys like it? I tried to give it a little Americana vibe. Try to give that Americana, gotta be in transportation all day kind of.
It kind of makes me get like 90s America vibe.
Does it?
Yeah, a little bit.
My favorite part is the cow.
The cow, he's so cute.
It's just like, it's a little bit adorable. Random, but it's also like, it's totally America because we just love the farm over here.
America.
So yeah, that's the new intro. That's our new spring intro. The song was made. The beat was made by our very own Nixit. So you can find him on BeatStars, Nixit, his feed. He's got a lot of good ones on there. I can't remember what it's called, but it's Zoo something is one that I got to work on with him, with his cousin. So yeah, check that stuff out.
I feel like I'm out of the frame more than normal.
Are you? I mean, we can adjust the camera a little bit.
I think we're okay.
Today we don't really have a subject like we did last time. And last time was a pretty good episode. So yeah. Today's gonna be a shit episode.
Don't call it a shit episode. They're gonna tune us out right now. I don't think it's a shit episode. It's just kind of a potpourri of a show where you got a little bit of everything to talk about.
I'm wearing my Snuggie. I forgot to take this off. Now I look like a man. Yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit about Trump. We're going to talk some more about leaving Nevermind and the R.Kelly.
Not Nevermind.
Or, God damn it.
God damn it.
Leaving Neverland and R.Kelly. And I'm also going to debut another video that I'm making as the trailer for YouTube, which Mr. Nevermind himself and I made the song, and it's actually the one that I promised everyone I was going to make an animation for, and then slowly realized that I suck at animation. Animation takes forever. I'm better at editing a bunch of videos together, so we'll just do that. So that's our new trailer. We're going to debut it a little bit later in the episode. If you guys have anything you want us to talk about, or if any of you want to guest, let us know here in the chat or on the Discord, and we'll bring you in. Otherwise, let's start the show. All right. Let's go ahead and just get the Trump shit out of the way. That shit just depressed me every time we talk about it. I think everyone's done hearing about Trump.
Well, so first and foremost, one of the biggest things that happened today is that the Senate voted to block Trump's emergency declaration to get funding for his border wall.
So he was like, cock blocked. Like, no, you ain't getting no funding.
Basically, but Trump still can veto it.
And of course he's going to.
So, and I don't know.
'Cause I'm Trump.
Yeah, I definitely feel like we'll get the first veto of his presidency there. The other thing is that there was a vote today as well to whether to release Robert Mueller's testimony and all of the report.
He is the FBI guy.
Oh my gosh!
What are you doing?
There was a commercial that
you
started
watching some
playing.
porn over here?
No.
was right under the mic. Everyone heard that.
Airwick. That's what it said. It's for an Airwick plug-in air freshener.
That's a very specific
Hashtag
point,
not sponsored.
Yeah.
But,
they're going to come after us now. Like, how dare you play our porn on your podcast?
Basically, it was the House of Representatives on Thursday.
Yeah.
Passed a resolution calling for Special Counsel Robert Mueller's report to be released to the public once it's completed. The vote was overwhelmingly bipartisan. 420 members voted in favor of the resolution and nobody voted against it.
Wow.
So, it's not legally binding, but it allows Democrats an opportunity to keep a spotlight on the issue as they work to put pressure on the Justice Department to disclose much of Mueller's finding in the special counsel's investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election.
Yeah. Mr. Neverland said he thought Mexico was going to pay for it. I think we all thought that for a while.
Well, that's what Trump promised everybody, is that he was going to make Mexico pay for it, and Mexico's like, fuck, I ain't. Like, no way.
Why would I do that?
Yeah. So, nice try. So, instead of making Mexico pay for it, he wants to make the taxpayers pay for it. He wants to use emergency funding.
I heard something along the lines that since he tried to pull it as a national emergency, that was along the lines of enough to be impeached because he was abusing it.
It's going to be really hard to prove, though.
I mean, I've heard from several different... I've read several different articles and I've heard from several different people on other podcasts that he's done several things that are worth impeachment. And we're just kind of scared to do it.
I think that here's what I think it is. I think that they're at the point that they know that Trump is mostly talk and not so much bite, or mostly bark and not so much bite.
Yeah.
So I think that I believe it was Nancy Pelosi that actually came out and said the other day that nothing is going to happen. Like, there's no way that Trump will get impeached. Which is funny because she's the head of, she's the
head person for impeachment.
She's the Speaker of the House, I believe.
So she could do it?
No, it's just saying that she's saying to avoid impeachment for now. That might be the best political move for her party. The thought is that if we...
What, is she Republican?
She's Democrat. She's Speaker of the House, and she's Democrat.
Oh, but she thinks that it's gonna look badly for Democrats if we impeach
One,
her.
it looks bad for Democrats if they're kind of pursuing this so-called witch hunt for Trump to get him impeached and try to find something. But two, I think it's also because come elections, it actually is beneficial to have a president that's doing nothing that's a Republican, because it makes it more likely that a Democrat can get into office as a president and in other offices as well. I think they're looking in the long run. Yes, there's a lot of things that Trump is fucking up.
I mean, I get that, but I'm also kind of like, this guy made pretty much prison camps for children.
So the way I see it is I think that they're like, well, we're almost through his term. So at this point, why bother impeaching him when that could take the rest of his term?
Well, I mean, like, when he pulls things like shutting the government down that affects everyone's taxes, having baby prison concentration camps, like threatening people on who is and isn't going to build the fucking wall, and just being a fucking clown on fucking Twitter almost daily. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of at the point where it's like, okay, but do we really care how you guys look? Like, I think we can all agree he's a terrible president. We need him out. Like, we can set aside our fucking...
I don't even think that there's Republicans that think he's doing a good job. I think that it's just a matter of...
I think a lot of Republicans are doing face palms because they're like...
Here's the thing. I think Republicans are just, one, they're happy that they escaped Hillary they don't like Hillary whatsoever. They call her a crook and a criminal, but yet they're looking at somebody who's done worse things and more things that we know of, being Trump, and they're like, oh, that's okay though because he supports my beliefs. Like,
well, what was the thing with Hillary? It was the fucking emails that she. What was the emails?
It was the emails about, God, it's been so fucking long, I hardly even remember about it. It was about Benghazi, wasn't it? That they had knowledge that there was an attack coming at the Benghazi embassy or something like that. And
so, like, her biggest crime is that she
may have had knowledge.
Email. She had knowledge and she deleted the emails.
She may have had knowledge of an attack before it happened and didn't do anything about it, and so people died.
And somehow we're going to throw all that bad juju onto Hillary. I'm not saying, like, Hillary should have been the best president or whatever. I'm just saying, like,
She was definitely not the only person that was aware of what was going on, and definitely was not the only person that would have been responsible for reporting that.
But I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, okay, yeah, maybe she did have those emails, and I mean, she probably wasn't going to be, like, turning into Superwoman and save those people. But in the long run, when you look at it, we got Trump, who fucking started riots and racism and just clowns all the time on Twitter, and he turned into this, like, fucking buffoon who decided that it's okay to fucking strip children away from their parents because they came from a different country, and then he freezes the whole government and affects everyone's income and taxes at the end of the year, and it's kind of like, okay, you got somebody who knew some information that happened overseas and some people died and she deleted the emails, and now you got somebody who's ruining your everyday fucking life, and especially for, you know, like, people couldn't pay their fucking mortgages. And you know, like, the stupid, like, MAGA and Antifa shit, and I'm not blaming all of it on Trump, but I'm just saying, like, that shit came because Trump fucking went around and started fucking saying a bunch of stupid shit.
Well, I think, and
I guess I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, I feel even though Hillary probably wouldn't be a good president, I still feel like she would have been a better president than fucking Trump. Or even fucking
our cat's, like, bellowing off camera.
Bernie Sanders or something. I don't know.
Well, I think that the racism has always been there in our country. Not only our country, other countries too.
I think the racism was dormant, but he definitely brought it out.
He definitely brought out a new era of fear-mongering, I think, with quite a few things. Not only race, but religion, different countries, any immigrants.
He brought out a lot of, like, white people who are afraid to be publicly racist. And then when he came out and started doing Trump things and stuff, people started feeling like, oh, hey, I have a racist president. I can be openly racist. It sets
a precedent. It sets an example saying that this is okay to do because somebody that holds the highest office in our country is able to do this and get away with it, and nobody says anything about it other than the media. But who believes the media? They say something bad about everybody.
Yeah.
So, but
Mr. Nolan says, I think we should let in to improve our tax base, meaning Mexican immigrants. Hillary's laughing, but she's a critic like them all. I agree. You know, I also I agree. Like, you know, any politician, I think, really is just like a crook. You can't really believe anything any of them says. And like I said before, I don't think she would have been a great president, but I definitely think she would have been better than fucking The Apprentice.
I disagree because I think that while it's one of those cases where there's going to be tons of people doing the right thing or that are not crooked out there, but then there's also going to be those few bad eggs that are going to basically say, oh, here I am, I'm going to make all of these bad choices, I'm going to be crooked, and they make everybody take and share their blame, their bad rap. Just like, and I know this is a touchy subject for the both of us, but just like not all police officers are out there just to brutalize people. There are good police officers out there.
Yeah, it's just the bad ones outshine the good ones.
Exactly, and I think that's exactly the case that's going on with a lot of politicians.
The whole Lincoln Police Department is a terrible fucking...
No, it is... Stop. Stop. You've had your own episode about police brutality. We're not going to revisit it. Yes, you did.
Oh, yeah, I did have an episode on the podcast. I thought you would mean like I had like a fucking...
Like a breakdown?
Like a fucking tyrant
like,
rant.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
They're fucking conspiring against me.
No, I think it's just a matter of, like I said, that the few bad definitely outshine the ones that are good, that are keeping their nose down. They're doing their job day in, day out. They're doing the right things. I definitely think that being in a position of power, especially if there's any money involved, if you have money or power involved in any way, shape, or form, or authority even, those things attract opportunities. Those are both good and bad opportunities. Yeah. So just because someone's saying, hey, I got a good deal for you, I just need you to go drop this package off at somebody's door for me, and then I'm gonna, pay for your next campaign fund or whatever.
All I have to do is deliver this package. You're gonna pay for my campaign fund?
Okay, and then you find out that in that package was a bomb, and you just bombed somebody's house.
But my campaign fund.
And you just killed a bunch of people. But your campaign fund. I mean.
So you're saying Hillary delivered a package?
No, I'm not. I'm not.
I know, I'm just fucking with you.
I'm just simply saying that there's going to be good and bad opportunities out there. Mm-hmm. And it's up to the person and their strength of character. I think we're all human. We all make mistakes. So I feel like to a certain extent we should be understanding of some of those mistakes.
So, let me ask you, have you ever seen a politician... Excuse me. Have you ever seen...
Why did you say excuse me if you just belched out loud?
Because it seemed like the
like you forced it out.
I did.
That's like an oxymoron. Like you belch really loud and you're like, oh, excuse me. Oh. Yeah, like, oh, did that come out a little old me?
Anyways, let me ask you, have you ever seen a politician... I mean, we all know about the bad ones. We all know about the controversial ones. Have you ever seen one that was so good and right for the job? That you know that would have done what they said they would do and would never do anything.
I know based on example, that yes, he is older, but I do believe that Bernie Sanders would do what he says he was going to do.
Okay, well,
he has done that in his own state. He's
a lot of people didn't like him though because he claimed that he was gonna like save everyone money and that he did his campaign only on his own pocket money.
I don't think that's why people liked him. I think the reason why people liked him, myself included in that, the reason why people liked him is because
I liked him because the bird landed on his pew.
Oh my god!
And I was like, that was like nature saying
Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, like he was at a speech and then like some like little. Tweet.
It was like a little like wren or something, like a house wren, sparrow.
Just landed on his pew while he was doing his speech.
Yeah, I think so. Anyway, so I think that the reason why Bernie Sanders was so popular is because one, studies have shown that the younger generations, that includes our generation and younger, are actually majority comprised of Democrats. And those generations are getting old enough to vote now. And so that's making the scales kind of tip a little bit more towards Democratic as far as what our voters are looking for. That doesn't necessarily mean that all the Democrats that are registered as Democrats have to vote as a Democrat. They could vote for whoever they want in the general election. Yeah. It's just the primaries that they would have to vote for their own party. So But I think with Bernie Sanders is he has a long proven track record in his state of Vermont where he has proposed these ideas and he makes them happen. And it allows Vermont to be a very progressive state then, and offers a lot of extra programs and extra things to help families out and help individuals out.
So you would believe that he would stay to his word and do all of that
I
stuff.
truly think he would, because he's 70-something years old. I mean, like, if he was going to do something...
Do you think he would...
Wouldn't he have done it? But if he was going to do something fucked up, don't you think he would have already done it?
Well, a lot of people pointed out a lot of fucked up things that he did. Of course, I can't. Other than the fact that he was this whole, like I was saying before, he was this whole, I'm not going to accept donations for my campaign, and I'm going to do it all out of my own pocket and stuff. But then, like, people were complaining that he was driving, like, a Ferrari or something, like a really expensive car.
No, he was not. That's a lie.
Well, look it up.
Well, I can tell you that's a lie right off the top of my head.
Like, he's driving a 94 Civic, and the doors are slammed shut. They don't even open. He's got a Dukes of Hazzard it into his Honda. Yeah, what's that?
Snopes has a story about it.
Oh, so Snopes is gonna tell me it's a lie.
This is false. On March 30th, 2016, several photographs reportedly showing Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders driving an expensive sports car were posted to the 4chan website. And somebody said, WTF, Bernie, is this where my campaign donations are going? Because that was my daughter's college fund. Blacks are experiencing institutionalized racism on a daily basis, and you're out here flossing. Bernie! Many forum users were skeptical that the man in the car was Sanders. One user attempted to add credibility to the photographs by claiming that he saw the Democratic presidential candidate driving what appeared to be an expensive Audi R8 behind some of his own campaign vehicles in photographs dated March 17th, 2016. And then...
But it's false.
The images purportedly showing Bernie's campaign vehicles actually capture the tour bus and SUV of a pro-Sanders group called Black Men for Bernie. Although the tour bus and SUV photographs are real, the Audi that Sanders was purportedly driving didn't appear in any of the images showing the Black Men for Bernie cars. It's possible that these photographs were taken at different times and different locations. The claims are highly questionable, though, as it is extremely unlikely that Bernie Sanders would be driving himself in a vehicle trailing his own campaign bus, especially without Secret Service protection in tow. Even more so as Sanders was stumping in Arizona that day and was not scheduled to appear with Black Men for Bernie. It was difficult to tell what highway the red car was seen driving on, of course, and none of the available photographs appeared to include any license plate information. It was clear, however, that the terrain shown did not even vaguely resemble Flagstaff, Arizona, where Sanders was that day.
So it was just some like look-alike, like old dude that they just took a picture of. Well, I mean, that being said, he is a politician. Politicians are known to just say whatever they can say to get into office. And you think that he would stick to his word and make us all richer
I do,
again.
simply because of the fact that... I'm ignoring that comment. I do simply because of the fact that he has held the position of a senator. He has made promises as a senator, and he has followed through on those promises as a senator. Okay. He has the experience. He has the mature mindset as well, whereas I swear Trump is a little fucking drooly baby. Like, I don't even know how he feeds himself every day.
He doesn't.
He probably pays somebody to do it. He probably has somebody that's an immigrant from Mexico and says, you better feed me, and you better feed me good, or I'm going to send you back.
I heard that there's taco bowls in the White House cafeteria. Can you please bring me one of those? That is one of my absolute favorite dishes from your country.
Just saying, if he does go through with building this border wall, I think he should no longer be allowed to eat any Mexican food or partake in any part of Mexican culture whatsoever.
I don't think he should just be eating at all. I think they should just hook him up to an IV.
Tube feed him.
Tube feed him.
Come on.
Mr. Nevermind says, white American entitlement. Some are smoother than others, like politicians he's talking about. I think there should be no campaign money donations. I agree with that. Bernie Sanders is the bird whisperer. A bungee cord on his trunk. Comment for when I said, what's he driving, a 94 Honda that he can't even open the doors. He's got a Daisy Duke through the window. And then he said French for some reason. I don't know. Anyways. So yeah, I think we all agree Trump bad. I personally feel like we should just impeach him. But I'm also kind of, if we impeach him, doesn't that mean the vice president becomes the president?
Yep.
And I don't think that's going to be any better.
I think that Mike Pence would make a worse president than Trump.
I think he'd turn it into like a dictatorship.
He would turn it into if you are openly gay or bisexual, you need to be locked up and converted.
Yeah, I think he'd turn every church in the country into a conversion camp.
I was just going to look up what the presidential field looks like right now. A lot of people are waiting to hear if Joe Biden is going to announce his candidacy. There was an article just in the last day or two that someone close to Biden had shared that he's fairly certain he'd be very surprised if Biden didn't run. Yeah. Which, you guys remember Biden, the lovable guy that he was the awesome vice president with Obama.
He was great. He was dormant, though, so he could be a terrible guy.
No, I think he really is a nice guy.
I think he would whip children with a smile on his face.
So as far as here it's got like in the polls and it's got a ranking like by months. Yeah. So Biden as of this month right now would be ranked higher than Sanders.
Ooh.
But
So
very closely by Sanders.
It'd be a race between Joe Biden and Sanders. If Sanders goes, is he going to go out again?
Bernie Sanders has already declared yes.
Oh, Joe Biden, please do it.
Biden hasn't declared yet.
Isn't there a woman though? Isn't there like a black woman?
There's several.
There's several women.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Jesus fucking Christ.
It's gonna happen.
I'm gonna punch you.
Who are the women?
Well, I'm going in order here.
Okay.
The next thing, the next most popular after Biden and Sanders is Beto O'Rourke.
Beto or Vito?
Beto O'Rourke.
Is he a senator?
American businessman and politician who represented Texas' 16th congressional district for 3 terms in the House of Representatives.
But he wasn't a senator. He was just a businessman. I already know.
He was in the House of Representatives.
Yeah, he was selling shit in the House of Representatives. He was selling chocolate bars.
He served 3 terms in the House of Representatives, Cork. What the fuck don't you understand about that?
I'm just giving
I will punch you by the end of this podcast.
Does anybody else want to co-host with me? I'm just kidding.
Say it again and I'm out.
I'm just kidding. Continue, please.
So, Beto O'Rourke. Then next you have Kamala Harris, which is a female.
Yeah, I remember hearing about her.
So she's the next in line as far as ratings. Then you have Elizabeth Warren. Mm-hmm. After Elizabeth Warren, you have Cory Booker. Mm-hmm. Amy Klobuchar, I don't know who that is. I have a picture of her here. She is a senator from Minnesota.
Oh.
Democrat.
Are you going to share that in the chat?
No. And then you have... And then you have Kirsten Gillibrand. And then finally, right now, last in the polls is Delaney. But it doesn't even, I haven't even heard of a person, Delaney.
Very interesting.
John Delaney.
Oh, John
former
Delaney.
U.S. representative from Maryland.
Yeah, you don't remember John Delaney?
So those are the Democratic nominees. Obviously, President Trump is running again.
Of course. The old annoying orange. I'm going to try for a second term.
And I know that I think there was at least one more.
What do you think are the odds of him not getting the second term?
I think it's fairly likely, to be honest,
that he won't get a second term?
That Trump won't get a second term, simply because the Republicans are not thrilled with him, and the Democrats absolutely hate him, and then you've got the moderates that are right in between.
But I feel like a lot of his fans and people, people who did vote for him are likely to stick to their guns and just say, oh yeah, let's do it again. There's still there's a huge majority of people who still love him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of the reason that he got voted in, because he became president, was because everyone who loved him and thought they were going to get rich for making him president. But then the other side, everyone thought it was a hilarious joke.
Mm-hmm.
But then we all just kind of were like, oh, but wait, when does the joke end? And it was already too late.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we have a lot to come. We have plenty of time for more people to announce. And, anytime that you start out with a huge pool, it's just like with, any reality show, like The Bachelor or whatever.
Yeah.
You start out with this huge pool, and then there's, a big chunk of them that do some fucked up shit, and then they get kicked off right away.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that happens. So, yeah. I wouldn't get too obsessed over figuring out who's running, who's not quite yet. I would let it kind of simmer for a little bit.
Do you think if Joe Biden runs... Let's say if Joe Biden becomes president, do you think Obama's going to be his vice president?
I don't think so.
Oh.
Simply because I think that Obama got enough of a taste of that from being a president for 2 terms.
Yeah, but vice president's kind of a little bit different. You're not in the... You're in the light, but you're not like first person right
but
there.
But there's a lot of behind the scenes responsibilities that you and I don't see every day. And there's true. If there is a situation in the situation room or whatever where there's something going on, they're right by the president's side. It's not like they just get to kick it back and go on a vacation and.
Even though Joe Biden kind of made it look like that.
Yeah, he did. He was kind of like a lovable grandpa.
Yeah.
You just wanted to like the guy.
I would hope that either if Joe Biden gets presidency, either Obama would be vice president or he'd make Bernie Sanders vice president. Can you do that? Can you make another candidate?
You can choose anybody.
But that candidate would have to drop out of the race before.
Yes. So it would be something, I can't run for president and also join the ticket as a vice president for somebody else. Because then you just have to be
like, well, if I get president, you're my vice president. But if you get president, I'm your vice president.
Yeah, but if you do that in a strategic way, if you're like, okay, well, I don't have enough popularity, and that's what, I think that Senator McCain, when he ran for president against Obama, I think that was a big thing that he tried was... He's like, okay, well, I've got all these Republicans here, but I don't have libertarians, and I'm losing female voters. So with his vice president pick, he picked Sarah Palin. Nobody had really heard of Sarah Palin until he announced that she was going to be his vice president if elected. So, and then immediately after that happened, he gained quite a few female supporters and gained quite a few libertarians as well, because I believe that she herself identifies as a libertarian. I believe it's like a type of Republican, kind of conservative.
8 years is enough. You're getting the eyebrows.
I think is the 8 years is enough in reference to Obama.
Or George Washington. Or, George Bush.
George Washington?
George Washington Bush.
You were around for the George Washington era?
Yeah, you weren't?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Huh.
I was there when Alexander Hamilton.
Alexander Hamilton.
I was there, Julie. All right, well, I guess I'm tired of talking about Trump. Do you want to talk about something else?
Yeah.
Is that okay with everyone else? Do we want to talk about something else? Everyone else meaning Mr. Nevermind, since you're the only one here in the chat, because
there's
the
plenty
second
of
person,
people listening.
The second person is you watching the stream.
There is plenty of people that will listen to the recording of this. So.
Oh, I know. We get most of our audience from listening to the other platforms. So, it used to be the guy who got the second. So yeah, so if anyone gets the second term, then you say 8 years is enough. Because you can't go for a third term, right? You can only do 2.
Correct.
So, anyways, we on the last podcast kind of talked about, well, a couple podcasts ago, talked about R.Kelly. That was before the hilarious interview with Oprah's friend.
Oprah's friend. She's an established journalist. Her name is Gayle King.
I know, but that's the only.
God.
That's what I remember her, because when she first started, she was Oprah's friend, and she was on an Oprah show all the time. And the only reason I know that is because my mom every day after school would have Oprah on.
I think that she's accomplished enough in her own right.
I know,
that she can be referred to. It's just like
it's SNL's.
You refer to me as my name. You don't refer to me as King Cord's wife. Like
no, but it was also SNL's joke with Kenan Thompson skit.
Yes.
It was like, oh no, I'm sitting here with Oprah's friend.
Yeah.
So R. Kelly had the hilarious and emotional interview with what's her name? You put something in your mouth?
Uh-huh.
You put a Nilla wafer in your mouth?
Uh-huh.
God damn it. With Oprah's friend. And then we recently watched Leaving Neverland. I'm so used to saying Nevermind because of the podcast and the intros and all that shit.
Her name is Gayle King.
Gayle King. And then we also watched Leaving Neverland, and on HBO now, which we got to cancel that today because I think we're at the end of our 7-day trial. Anyways, so I watched, and I forced you to watch Leaving Neverland, which is kind of like, it's really hard. It's kind of hard to watch. It's not really hard to watch. It's more hard to listen because they don't really show anything graphic or anything. They show you the first 2 kids that were sexually abused by
allegedly.
Excuse me, Tiki. By Michael Jackson, and yeah, it was kind of hard. I guess I grew up. I'm a '90s baby, and I only know Michael Jackson from the '90s on. But apparently, right around the time that he started doing his solo career, he started doing tours. But he would have children on the stage, and I'm watching this documentary, and right away they're showing like, oh yeah, Michael Jackson loved having kids come on stage and sing along with his songs and dance, and I'm just kind of like, there's my red flag. Like, woof, wait, what? Why? Like, why are we having kids? I can see maybe like a song that kids kind of like, or it's kind of like a nice
like ABC
message
like
song.
If you
threw back to his like Jackson 5 times, like 1, 2, 3. Can't sing the rest because the copyright's gonna get us. Anyways, so have kids come on and sing along with that or whatever. But it's the whole concert. It has just a bunch of kids. And then all of a sudden he started having, I don't even know if it was him or his idea, but I guess it would, because he needed auditions for kids who weren't going to be shy on stage. So he started having dance competitions, like in several countries or continents, where they would kids, and the funniest thing was the first kid. No, this was it. The first one of the kids was too young to be in the competition to compete.
Yeah, but they still let him. They still let him perform. He just couldn't compete.
They let him perform because he had the outfit on point, and he had the dance moves, and he did his thing. And then at the end, they're just kind of like, "Oh." It was almost kind of like Michael's gonna like me, like Michael's gonna really like this. We got somebody younger, and so they're at the end of the competition, like, well, we just feel like we just have to give it away to this guy because he was really good, and so the kid who was underage and shouldn't have competed won the competition. And then Michael flew over. It was in Australia, I think, and Michael.
They're my vanilla wafers.
Michael flew over to Australia.
They're actually our sons that we stole.
Yeah, he doesn't know it right now. Don't tell him. But
they are damn good.
So it's these two kids. The one from America who's already in California, he would just go over and live with them for like months, and if he wasn't there, he was calling them all the time. And I guess I'm just explaining.
Michael would go live with their family.
Yeah, live with their family and stuff.
You just said them. He would go with them, and I'm like, who is going where?
Basically, I'm just telling you what the documentary is. If you want to watch it, go watch it. It's on HBO, HBO Now. I liked it. I mean, it was a good documentary. I mean, I don't like what it's about, but I mean, it was a good documentary to watch. But it definitely gives you. They kind of explain like to detail what all their fucking times that they did shit.
Well, when you sit there and you hear, I'm just gonna call it out and say what it is. There are points where you get graphic, detailed explanations of what
I mean, they're showing you
Michael
pictures.
allegedly did to these kids, and they show pictures of these kids around 7, 8 years old. And for the record, our child is 8 years old.
Yeah.
And they're talking about at the time he was 7, and said that as a 7-year-old boy that allegedly he had a grown adult male genitalia in his mouth. And like just that was enough for me to say, nope, I'm done. I can't.
You can't watch this.
Nope, because
And I just kind of like I mean, you obviously like went onto your phone, but it was still playing in the background for you.
All I could think of, and this sounds horrible, and I feel like I'm not alone in this, but all I could think of is our son, and if
Michael Jackson's penis in his mouth.
No. Damn it.
Just kidding. Continue.
All I could think about is, what if that was my son?
Yeah. Well, that's a natural parent response or thinking after you hear something related to young children. It was weird because they were showing photos of like Michael Jackson sitting on the couch with them watching TV, or them when Neverland first opened and they were all having a fun time, and they were showing pictures of all the rooms in the buildings, and there were these like they were normal photos, they're like wholesome photos. You're still kind of like, wow, Michael Jackson, a big king of pop, fucking hanging out with just some normal fucking family. But then on top of those photos, you have the guys who were abused as children saying things like, yeah, Michael and I would run away from the group because he had acres of land, and we'd go to this building and go all the way to the top in the attic or whatever and do this stuff. Or my family wanted to go to the Grand Canyon, and I wanted to stay back with Michael. And they just basically had like a fucking sex tour all over the fucking.
It's one of those things that it's easy for us to say in hindsight, but I have to be honest, as a parent, maybe it's just because of the times that it is, the generation we're in now, but there would have been several red flags there.
Well, and
that I would have questioned something.
That's
and the
where
parents,
I'm at too.
The parents of the kids were interviewed as well, and they're just like, "Oh, we didn't think there was anything wrong with him spending the night."
Yeah, they constantly said we didn't question it.
Well, like at first she says, "Oh no, I wouldn't let him spend the night with Michael, and he was so upset and he hated me."
Yeah.
And then the next time it just kind of happened where they fell asleep in the same room together and they were on the bed together. And then it just kind of progressed from there. And then it's like the parents aren't even questioning, why is my kid going over there so much? Why is he calling every single day?
I think a lot.
And he just played the whole, I'm just a really lonely guy. Like, everybody thinks they know me, but they don't know me.
Never had a childhood or whatever kind of thing.
Well, and there's been allegations in the past that, was it Joe Jackson, their father, that he may have sexually abused some of them as kids, and I could definitely see that. Yeah, there's definitely been allegations of that.
I've never heard that.
But
so, I think a lot of it though with the parents, they knew what was going on. This is my opinion. They knew what was going on, but they also knew Michael Jackson is the key to my kid's stardom.
Yeah.
And especially the kid from Australia, he was really good at dancing, and he wanted to become a choreographer and get into show business.
And for the record, he did become a famous choreographer.
Oh yeah, he choreographed for NSYNC.
Britney
Spears.
Like all of the 90s music videos.
Pretty much the majority of 90s boy band and girl band music videos.
Yeah.
And he's still, to this day, a choreographer. He helps choreograph a lot of big stars when they go on tour for concerts and stuff.
So I think definitely, if you guys have a strong enough stomach, check out the documentary. Today, was it today or yesterday, there was a video posted?
Today, well, I think it was yesterday, or it was either earlier today or it was yesterday, but Aaron Carter, if you don't know who Aaron Carter is, he's one of the younger brothers of the Backstreet Boys, I think.
He was also a star in his own right.
He was a solo artist as well. But he started very young. He apparently knew Michael and had gone over to Neverland and stuff. He came out with an interview with TMZ saying that he wanted to punch Wade Robinson, which is the kid from Australia who's in the documentary.
The choreographer.
The choreographer, because he's the one who kind of like orchestrated the whole documentary, I think. I think he helped produce it. Anyways, he wanted to punch him in his face for saying things about Michael. Then he went on to defend that Michael never did anything with the kids, never did anything to him, and that he thought it was fucked up that Wade Robinson decided to come out 10 years later after Michael's death to confess that he was being sexually abused. It's weird too because back when there was the whole court thing of Michael allegedly sexually assaulting children, and so he had to go to court. Wade Robinson and the other kid, the other guy, I can't remember his name, the first guy, but both had to testify. Or no, the first one decided that time he didn't want to testify. He wanted to stay out of it. And then Wade eventually got into it and testified that he wasn't being sexually abused. But the kid from Home Alone, Macaulay Culkin, he testified, said that it didn't happen to him as well. But now it's kind of like, well, where the fuck are you now? You know, like, where are you on all this now that this stuff's happening? And it just kind of feels like a lot of the kids are just kind of sticking to their guns. Like, well, this didn't happen. And so it's still kind of like allegedly. It's still in the neighborhood of allegedly, because you got two guys who are saying it did happen. You got two guys who say it didn't happen. You have the first black kid. He came out and said it happened the first time, and then they tried to take it to court, but then Michael Jackson just settled it, which still brings the question, like, okay, well, does that mean it happened or didn't happen? Like, was this just a scam for money?
Anytime there's a settlement,
or is it...
you never know. It's usually just because even if it didn't happen, they just want to avoid the publicity that could come as a result of it. And the negative publicity. The thing
at the time was, according to the documentary, that the lawyers, Michael Jackson's lawyers, wanted to emphasize, or whatever the fucking word is.
Infanticize?
No, infants. Basically get the word out that just because we're settling and we're paying the money, that it's not an admission to guilt. It's just we don't want to deal with this right now.
I have no clue what word you were trying to think of. Emphasize?
Yeah, there you go. Anyways, so it's still kind of weird and kind of, I don't know. I got 2 kids over here saying they've been assaulted. I've got 2 others that feels like, to me, honestly, like deep down inside, it feels like they're just sticking to their guns, but they don't want to admit it.
So, if I'm going to be completely honest, we don't have to fully discuss this, but basically the Michael Jackson trial is very similar to a lot of these sexual assault trials that are going on currently, where it's not always, but typically in the most recent headlines has been a male in some position of authority and forcing, female actors or actresses to, not just female, but forcing them to do things to get a job, otherwise they'll ruin their career. That's not a new thing, it's just new that people are being held accountable to it.
Well, it was the Me Too thing.
Yes, with the Me Too movement. So I think that we're seeing a lot of the same things. We've got a lot of people that are like, yes, this is what happened, and then you have a lot of people on the other hand that say, no, this didn't happen. Nobody except for the people that were involved in the actual incident are going to know exactly what happened unless there's documented proof.
But here's
on like video recording or something.
Here's what I'm getting at with the Michael Jackson. You got Macaulay Culkin, or whatever the fuck his name is, however you say it, and you got Aaron Carter. Both right now don't really have a career. Like, they're not really doing that much.
No.
Maybe they're doing some behind the scenes stuff. I know Macaulay is just kind of going around doing interviews and appearances here and there, but not very often.
I'm pretty sure there's been a few things said about Macaulay Culkin too, about some allegations with him.
And my point is it's now 10 years later. They're both Michael Jackson's dead. They're both not really doing anything. What's it gonna hurt you now to finally come out and say the truth? I mean, if anything, people are gonna go, oh man, that fucking sucks. You wanna, interview?
So,
I mean,
you gotta keep in mind though, there could be a lot of these confidentiality agreements or agreements that have been signed where they can't discuss this.
But, okay, if Aaron Carter signed a confidentiality agreement or whatever, basically saying, yeah, Michael Jackson touched you, you can't say anything about it, here's some fucking money. If you break the contract, then you're going to jail or whatever. Don't you think he would avoid calling out Wade Robinson and bringing attention to it? You think he would just keep his mouth shut, right, if he was smart?
Aaron Carter, maybe, but maybe Macaulay Culkin couldn't, or whatever.
Well, and that makes sense with Macaulay because he hasn't said anything about it, but Aaron Carter has. And he's bringing light to it. So you'd think if he signed some kind of an agreement like that, he shouldn't be doing it. So if you're willing to go out and fucking cuss out Wade Robinson for saying something about it, then you're obviously comfortable enough to say the truth about it.
I'm reading about...
I'm not saying that maybe the truth is that they were sexually assaulted, or the truth is that they weren't sexually assaulted. I'm just saying, like, it's just kind of weird, I guess I don't know what I'm saying.
Macaulay Culkin did testify in Jackson's favor at the trial.
Right.
And several staff members at Neverland had reported that they saw the two of them behaving inappropriately together. He met Culkin when he was 9 years old. Mm-hmm. And it says it's thought to be one of the biggest blows in Jackson's favor because of his testimony. Mm-hmm. But it did corroborate some of the claims later made by leaving Neverland James Safechuck, specifically that Jackson tended to grow apart from the boys in his orbit as they reached their later teens, and that Jackson had an alarm system that let him know if anyone was approaching his room.
Yeah, he had bells that every step you took closer to the room, a bell would go off.
He also testified that he had slept in Michael Jackson's bed, but nothing inappropriate had gone on.
Which is still kind of fucking weird.
In 2018, Macaulay Culkin was on WTF with Mark Maron podcast, where they talked about the relationship. And Macaulay Culkin said, "He was my best friend growing up for a good fat stretch of my life. When he was pressed about Jackson's behavior and penchant for spending time with young boys, Culkin added, Jackson was emotionally young. He enjoyed my youthfulness. He liked being a kid with me. It never struck me as odd. I never felt uncomfortable. That's just the way he was." And he also appeared on another podcast called Inside of You, which is weird.
A little bit.
Little, awkward. Where he, again, defended Jackson and their relationship.
And maybe Jackson only did things with certain kids.
I mean,
maybe, like, if Jackson felt comfortable enough with this kid, that this kid would either fall in love with him or keep his mouth shut if questioned. And so he didn't do certain sexual acts with others, but he still acted like a fucking kid with all the kids. Maybe he did everything with all the kids. It makes sense that after a certain period of time that he would just go on to the next kid. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, they're growing and he's losing interest in them or whatever. And also he's a fucking big pop star, so he's gonna get as much tail as he can try to fucking get, you know? Yeah. As weird as that sounds.
I get that it's an important topic to talk about, but I'm going to be completely honest. I hate giving airtime to this.
Well, I guess I wanted to talk about it because I wanted to. I wish there was more people here so we can interact. But I wanted to know what other people thought about it. What did they think that he actually did it? If not, and I wanted the whole. Are we gonna still listen to his music? Because the whole R.Kelly thing, when I watched the documentary with R.Kelly, at the end they're like, everyone should delete his music and never listen to it again. But then we watched SNL, which is also the same one that they talked about, the Kenan Thompson skit about R.Kelly talking to Grace or whatever, Grace?
Gail
King. Anyways.
For the fifth fucking time.
What was his name? He was on the Weekend Report.
Colin Jost.
No, okay, not Colin. The guy who talked.
Pete
Davidson. I thought he brought up a really good point that you know, these guys are artists and they make great music and we all love their music and we can still listen and love to the music without tying in the bad shit that the artist did or whatever. Mm-hmm. He said he was joking, but he was basically like, if you wanted to listen to Ignition remix or whatever, remix to Ignition, that you had to donate $1 to like victims of like sex crimes and stuff or whatever. And obviously he's joking, but basically he's saying like, we could still love the music and you're not a terrible human being for listening to music, because there's plenty of other artists from the past who all done fucked up things that we all still listen to the music. It's just right now we're making a stink about it because of the whole Me Too thing.
Yeah.
And so I kind of agree with, because R.Kelly's music was a pretty good chunk of my life, especially in the summer times. And Michael Jackson, I absolutely love all of Michael Jackson's music. So it's really hard for somebody who's for this long. Even I even knew about the whole pedophile accusations and the trials and the courts and court dates and everything, and I still listened to Michael Jackson before. So I mean, why is it because now I got a little bit more detail on what some people say happened that now I can't listen to the music? I think we could still listen to the music because it's good music and it was a defining moments for a lot of generations. But I wanted to know what other people felt about that. So
and I know we've only got it set to top chat here instead of all chat, but
there's only one of us.
I did post a link to the NBC website that has a clip of the Weekend Update with Pete Davidson. Just so that if any of you are curious, it is available on NBC's website if you search for it. Yeah. So for those of you that might be listening on to the playback, you can check it out on NBC.com on the Saturday Night Live page.
Yeah. I mean, I thought he brought up a really good point. Stuff, obviously he was joking about donating money, or you can if you want. I mean, it's a good cause, but Mr. Nevermind says, I think everyone's weirded out about Michael's behavior. It's weird, but it's wrong.
It's weird, but is it wrong?
Yeah. And another thing is,
if he did those things that he is alleged to do, yes, it's wrong.
Yeah, it is wrong for sure. But I'm also kind of sitting here like he's been dead for 10 years. Like, what are we gonna do? And I think it's absolutely asinine that we're gonna just turn around and say, well, we shouldn't listen to Michael Jackson anymore. Like,
but in the same respect, how long if this did happen to these kids, how long have these kids suffered, and how much more of their lives do they have to live through this? And especially if they do hear his song somewhere, like playing on a radio, jukebox, whatever. Well, if they hear his song come on, what kind of memories does that bring back, and does that re-victimize them again?
The thing was in the documentary that they both said Michael Jackson was never violent, Michael Jackson was never mean, Michael Jackson was a kind, gentle man.
That doesn't mean he couldn't be a pedophile.
No, I know that. I'm just saying they both said that they fell in love with him. They both felt like he was a very kind and gentle man, and that they still kind of love him and still love his music. So, I mean, I guess that's not saying for all the other victims, but I mean, come on. I love Michael Jackson's music. Thriller was one of the greatest fucking music videos of all time. I mean, I guess if you're uncomfortable and you don't want to listen to it, don't listen to it. But I guess I'm saying is I don't want to be shamed if I also listen to it.
I'm not gonna shame you, and like I don't have a problem with listening to the music still, but there's part of me that kind of has that moment where I'm thinking about what mindset were they in when they wrote this, and what were they doing that they were able to write these lyrics.
Well, I'm sure like Human Nature was like a prepping song. Like it was basically like prepping somebody, saying if they ask, just say it's human nature. But I mean, I think we're getting into overanalyzing stuff a little bit,
Well.
So it all comes back. The whole R.Kelly thing, though, the interview to me was hilarious. Both the real interview and Kenan Thompson's mock interview. But one thing I would say was, okay, so like the interview, it was a little weird because he was sweaty and already panicked before the interview started. And he was pretty much just kind of amped up. And then when he got into his whole like tyrant, like he couldn't come down off of it or whatever. And but the one thing that I had a complaint about is that, okay, so he went to jail, right, recently, and one of his girls bailed him out. And the first thing he did was he went to McDonald's to have a meal. And he's R. Kelly, he's got an entourage, and everyone's gonna notice you. My problem is everyone's like, why'd you go to McDonald's after you got out of jail? Why McDonald's? Why would you go to McDonald's? Why were you having fun with your hood up at McDonald's? And I'm kind of like, can't the guy go to fucking McDonald's?
I think
what was the problem?
You're getting hung up on that. I think that's just you, for some reason, have grasped onto this whole people attacking him about the McDonald's thing. I really don't think there's that many people that are like, why the fuck did your fat ass go to McDonald's?
But why would you bring it up in the interview? Why would you bring it up in that big of a fucking interview? Why would you bring it up? See, that's my problem is that everyone's just trying to grab everything and they don't really care what it is. They're just like, oh, you did this? Like, oh, why'd you... You know, it's like, so the man went to fucking McDonald's to get a Big Mac. Why does he have to explain his choice to you?
It's just kind of laughable, though. Like, let's be honest.
Like, why would R. Kelly go to McDonald's? Like,
No, not that. Like, I get that they're all fucking real people. Like, they're all human, too. They're gonna go places that we like to go to eat. But what I mean is, like, when you're facing such serious accusations, that it's not your first rodeo with these accusations either.
Yeah.
Don't you think you would maybe want to go home and just kind of just chill out and sleep it off, or prep with your attorney for an upcoming trial?
The problem is, so you're saying that the reason why he did McDonald's was it was just
I think that's his way.
Attention seeking, like, look at me, I don't give a shit that I went to jail.
Yes, I think it's his way of throwing it back in people's face and saying, fuck you, this ain't no big deal, I go to jail all the time and I get out scot-free because you can't touch me because I'm R. Kelly. I can pee on people and not get in trouble, and I can make videos of me peeing on people and not get in trouble. And I can start a fucking sex cult and not get in trouble.
I can see a little bit of that, but I'm also kind of like, he's not doing anything wrong though. Like, the way people came at him about it was like he was doing something wrong.
I think it's just the simple fact that he's not taking this seriously. I think that's where it comes from. Is if you were taking this seriously, would you be going out and partying it up with your friends? No.
I mean, are you really partying it up with your friends when you're at McDonald's, though?
I mean, if you're anywhere out in public with friends when you're facing allegations...
I can understand if, like, he got out of jail, and the first thing he does is he goes to the club, and he gets the VIP service, and he gets the bottle service, and he's out there, and all of a sudden there's a bunch of young girls, like, hanging out at his fucking VIP fucking booth or whatever. I can see that. Them going, well, why'd you go to the club right after? Why didn't you go home? Why didn't you talk to your lawyer? Why are you all of a sudden out partying again? But the man simply just went to McDonald's with his entourage, had his hood up, and was eating a fucking Big Mac. And everyone's like, oh shit, was that Big Mac made by an underage girl?
So think about this way then. Don't you think that he has enough money to pay fucking people to go get this shit for him so he doesn't have to go out in public? So he's making a point. And there's also like
Uber Eats. You can get it delivered to your house. But listen,
he's making a point of going out in public to show people that he doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, I know.
He doesn't care. It's no big deal. It's a walk in the park. It's any other day. He goes to McDonald's all the fucking time with his friends and hangs out already. So he's going to go out to McDonald's and hang out with his friends again because it's no big deal. It's a slap in the fucking face. That's what it is.
I just don't see it that way. I mean, yeah, it's the whole, I can see the whole, I'm going out in public because I don't really feel, I feel comfortable, that I can just go right into public. He clearly doesn't feel bad. But at the same respect, I'm like, come on, guys, like.
But if he did these things to these people, if he actually committed these allegations that have been brought against him, wouldn't you think that there would be, unless there's some sort of mental something going on where he doesn't feel this way, but wouldn't you feel some sort of remorse? Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you? Would that remorse turn into like a guilt? Would you be going out and partying?
Though, as long as he's allegedly been doing it. I mean, even the girls in the documentary says he's got a god complex. So I don't think that he would feel remorse or guilt or anything. But at the same time, I'm also like, it's fucking McDonald's, y'all. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I guess my problem with it is just like, you guys are just like, oh, McDonald's, oh, a Big Mac, oh, how dare you? How dare you do that? And it's like, what do you want him to go home? Like,
yeah,
he's a star who's
feel sorry for yourself.
He's a star who's in the light. Like, he doesn't really care what it's like. I would rather him go to a McDonald's and eat a fucking Big Mac than go out and fucking party at some club or get caught trying to
think you can split hairs like that. I think that for you to sit here and say, oh, well, it's not like he's doing that, you can justify anything by that. You can say, oh, well, yeah, he just killed like 10 people, and you're like, oh, well, I mean, at least he didn't kill 20. That's so much worse.
But I don't see the connection here. Like, going to McDonald's and eating a Big Mac, or going to the club and partying up and getting young girls.
Oh, he only held his girls hostage.
He only killed 10 people. It's not. I'm saying you guys are grabbing things so fucking much that it's to the point where it's just like, oh, he's going to McDonald's. What a fucking animal. Like, are we all gonna boycott McDonald's now? That's just where I'm at on it.
I know. I'm just very annoyed with...
You're just annoyed with me.
This conversation.
Yeah.
Just because
so the
vehemently disagree.
Interview went terrible. He threw like a fucking fit. He was sweaty and he was like screaming, and his publicist or crisis manager dude had to come over and help him, which didn't really help because he got like elbowed in the face or whatever. And then they went to the other room, and R.Kelly just kept yelling, and then went back down, sat down, and Kelly's still yelling. He's not answering any questions. He's just saying stuff like, "Y'all are trying to kill me.
I'm fighting for my career out here.
Fighting for my motherfucking life out here. Gave you a 30-year career." I think the hilarious part is when he goes, "Is this camera on me?" And I thought SNL did a really good. Kenan Thompson, and what's her, the big black girl. What's her name? Do you remember? Anyways, their skit was really, it was on point. It was great. Leslie Jones. And he was Kenan Thompson. You should go watch that too. I'm sure it's on the NBC.com Saturday Night Live page. Yeah, so this podcast just went downhill because we're having an argument now. And so... We're
not necessarily having an argument, but we're just sitting here, we're beating a dead horse over the same subject.
Yeah, I mean, well, you're pissed off with me because you don't like my opinions on it to the point where you're doing your coloring app. And you're halfway in this. So, we're going to go ahead and end it here. But before we end it, I'm going to go ahead and debut Mr. Nevermind's trailer video that we started. So let me get this set up real quick. Internet view, and then we're gonna go over here. Boom. All right, let's watch this together, huh? was Mr. Nevermind's intro video or intro music that he made and I sang on a long time ago. We were trying to make that into the animated intro. Took forever, so I turned it into that. It's now our trailer on YouTube. I imagine we'll probably play it once or twice again on the podcast. Thank you, Mr. Nevermind, for that song. Ow, that fucking hurt. See here. Once you become a star, going out in public becomes a privilege. Move on, line. How do you do the phone camera trick? I don't know what you're talking about with the phone camera trick.
On your video, the X-ray.
Oh, that's actually green screening. As you can see, I'm in love with chroma keying. Like this whole wall is chroma key, so we can have that. I found stock footage on vidvo.com, and I just typed in screen. You cut my ear out. Yeah, I did. I found stock footage on vidvo.com. It's typed in green screening. That's the whole, like, the phone with the X-ray, the girl looking at her monitor, watching the podcast, and then she clicks to do the donation. And the first scene where the grass just turns into our podcast, which is absolutely fucking confusing, but I love it. That's why I kept it. So, yeah. So we got the new intro video, the spring one. That one's also got stock footage from Vidvo. We've got that trailer video, and soon we'll have a outro video. Yeah, I guess that's it. Our merch store is still open, and we might move to a new one, but as of right now, this is the merch store. If it works, there it is. You can find us on all of these platforms, including Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, and iTunes. We also have our Instagram page and our Facebook fan page, and our Twitter under our social here. If you liked the beat from our new intro video, that's actually from Nixit's BeatStar page. Following right here. Hopefully it comes up. Love your blouse, Jay. Have a good night. I guess that command doesn't work. Basically, it's beatstar.com/Nixit/feed. Yeah, guys, thanks for coming. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you next Thursday, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Here on the YouTubes. And if you want any more information, you can check us out on our Instagram or our Discord. If you have a topic suggestion or if you'd even like to guest on the show, just let us know on either of those, and we'll let you come onto the show, and we'll have a nice topic, or if you have a topic for us to talk about, we'll definitely do it. We're running out of ideas, and obviously we get on-the-spot shitty episodes like today, so yay! Anyways, everyone, have a beautiful day and or night, and we'll see you next Thursday.
Bye.
Thanks, bye.
Today, we're talking about Mars. We're talking about Mars. Wow. And he's like, ah! I shouldn't do that. I could have gone more, but I'm just going to end it there.
That's pretty good. I'm just going to say something that might piss off a lot of people.
Yeah.
I feel like the pork tastes just like the chicken.